respect for Jake because he's not a YouTuber that's just boxing just to box. He actually trains. And
Jake Paul's fight against Mike Tyson at A&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, has become one of the most talked about events in the world of boxing. The contest, which featured a 58-year-old Tyson making his first professional appearance in nearly 2 decades, was framed as a clash between two generations, the once feared boxing legend Tyson and the young YouTube star turned boxer Jake Paul. While many expected the spectacle to be a nostalgic return for Tyson, it raised significant questions about the nature of boxing and what truly makes a fight meaningful in the eyes of fans and purists alike. Mike Tyson, who rose to prominence in the late 1980s as the youngest heavyweight champion in history, had a career defined by his explosive knockout power and his fierce, intimidating presence in the ring. Tyson's reign was abruptly ended by a combination of personal issues, legal troubles, and defeats that led to his long hiatus from boxing. Despite these setbacks, Tyson's legacy has remained undeniable. His ferocity in the ring and his place in boxing history have allowed him to maintain a significant fan base and influence, even as his career stalled. In recent years, Tyson has returned to the public eye, not through traditional boxing matches, but in exhibitions that aim to revive his fighting spirit. His training for the fight against Jake Paul seemed to be motivated by a combination of nostalgia, a desire to prove he still had the skills to compete, and the financial incentives that come with such high-profile matchups. Jake Paul, on the other hand, is a boxer whose rise has been anything but traditional. Initially known for his controversial antics on social media, Paul transitioned into boxing in 2018, quickly gaining attention for his brash personality and his self-promotion. His early fights, mostly against fellow YouTubers and influencers, were met with skepticism by the boxing community, many of whom saw him as nothing more than a celebrity taking advantage of the sport for the sake of fame and fortune. However, Paul has managed to prove his critics wrong with each successive fight. His victories, particularly his knockout wins, have demonstrated that he's taken the sport seriously and invested time into honing his craft. Paul's boxing career has been a testament to his ability to leverage his massive online following and turn it into legitimate opportunities within the world of professional boxing. When Tyson and Paul stepped into the ring together, it was clear that the fight was more than just a matchup between two fighters. It was a collision of two distinct worlds: the world of old-school boxing, where legacies are built over decades of blood, sweat, and triumph, and the world of modern celebrity, where viral moments and social media followings can catapult someone to stardom. For Tyson, this fight seemed to offer an opportunity to reclaim some of the glory of his youth and prove that even in his 50s, he still had what it took to compete at a high level. For Paul, it was an opportunity to solidify his place as a serious boxer and to potentially surpass the legendary Tyson as one of the biggest names in the sport today. The fight itself was, as expected, a spectacle more than a competitive contest. Tyson, despite his age and long layoff, still had flashes of the power and skill that made him a dominant force in his prime. However, the years had taken their toll, and Tyson was not the same fighter who once dominated the heavyweight division with terrifying speed and precision. Paul, by contrast, was younger, faster, and seemed to have more of the modern conditioning required to succeed in today's boxing world. While Tyson's experience and power were still evident at times, Paul was able to control the pace and dictate the action, using his youth and agility to his advantage. For many boxing purists, the fight felt more like an exhibition than a true contest of athleticism and skill. The spectacle surrounding the fight was inescapable. It was a money-making venture as much as it was a sporting event. Jake Paul has proven that he can sell a fight, drawing massive attention and generating huge pay-per-view numbers. This type of event, where the outcome of the fight seems secondary to the entertainment value, has become a hallmark of his career. While some fans were excited to see Tyson back in the ring, many others were critical of the fight, questioning whether a legend like Tyson should be participating in such a high-profile spectacle at all, especially against an opponent who, despite his success in recent, matches still doesn't have the pedigree of a traditional boxer. The fight between Tyson and Paul also underscores a deeper debate within the world of boxing. What is the true meaning of legacy in the sport? For Tyson, his legacy is secure as one of the most dominant fighters in history. However, this fight raised the question of whether he should risk tarnishing that legacy by facing off against a less experienced fighter in a match that many would argue was more about entertainment than sport. The idea of a fighter's legacy being shaped by moments like these, where the spectacle overshadows the substance, has become increasingly prevalent in modern boxing. Tyson himself seemed to relish the opportunity to step back into the ring, but whether the fight added anything meaningful to his legacy is a matter of perspective. For some, it was a fitting return for a champion. For others, it was a sad reminder of how far the sport has strayed from its roots. For Jake Paul, the fight represented a chance to push the boundaries of what is considered acceptable in the sport. His background in social media has allowed him to bypass traditional routes to success in boxing, and his ability to create buzz and garner attention has made him one of the most recognizable names in the sport today. Despite his lack of experience compared to other professional boxers, Paul's ability to sell fights and engage an audience has led to significant financial success. The question, however, is whether this success is sustainable. Can Jake Paul continue to win and remain relevant in boxing without relying on the spectacle? Or will the novelty of his celebrity eventually wear thin? The fight also highlights the changing nature of boxing as a sport. Traditionally, boxing was about skill, endurance, and legacy. The sport produced fighters who earned their place through years of training, sacrifice, and competition against the best in the world. Today, however, boxing has become as much about business and entertainment as it is about sport. Fighters like Jake Paul, who enter the ring with little more than a strong social media following and a willingness to promote themselves, represent a shift in how the sport is viewed. The rise of celebrity boxers, who may not have the same technical skills as traditional fighters, has led to a blending of sports entertainment and actual competition. In the end, the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson was more than just a boxing match, it was a symbol of where the sport is heading. For Tyson, it was a moment to relive past glories and prove that he still had something left in the tank. For Jake Paul, it was an opportunity to further cement his place in the boxing world, even if that world has shifted dramatically in recent years. Whether this fight will be remembered as a defining moment in Tyson's legacy or a passing moment in Jake Paul's career remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: boxing, like many other sports, is evolving, and the lines between entertainment and athletic competition continue to blur.